This is the official patch notes of the 222 6v6 role queue experiment that Blizzard is testing out with actual modern adjustments to tanks, just to see how, Hazard and Juno and MAUGA would fit in this modern format. This is a very extensive list of changes, so buckle up, it's only for this mode, so here we go. Okay, so from the top, they're keeping the global HP regen, but the timer is going to be increased from 5 to 7 seconds before it kicks in. For the tank role passive, a lot of changes. The 25% knockback reduction is removed. The 25% crit damage reduction is removed. The 150 HP you get in role queue is removed. Only thing left is the ultimate generation reduction, which is reduced from 40% to 25% when other people shoot the tanks. For the damage role passive, the healing reduction is decreased from 25% to 15%, and it no longer has that reduced effectiveness for tanks, so it looks like it's 15% across the board. D.Va's base health is increased from 225 to 350, and base armor reduced from 325 to 300. This is still a plus 100 total HP gain, just distributed a little differently. The fusion cannon's weapon spread is increased from 3.375 degrees to 4 degrees, and the movement speed penalty is increased from 30% to 40%. The defense matrix max duration is reduced from 3 to 2 seconds, micro missile cooldown is increased from 7 to 8 seconds, and the booster cooldown is increased from 3.5 to 4 seconds. For DOOMFIST, he's going from 375 HP to 425. For his passive, the best defense, the overhealth gain per target is going to be reduced from 40 to 35 HP, and the max temporary health total is going to be reduced from 200 to 150. For Seismic Slam, the cooldown's going up from 6.5 to 7.5 seconds, and the power block duration is going to go down from 2.5 to 2 seconds, while the cooldown is also going to be increased from 7 to 8 seconds. Interesting to see how Tank Doom will do in 6v6 here. For Hazard, this is going to be my favorite test here. Hazard in 6v6, Jagged Wall cooldown is going to be increased from 12 to 15 seconds, and the health of the wall is actually going up from 400 to 500. For Spike Guard, its duration is going to go down from 3.5 to 3 seconds, and the recharge time is going to be increased from 5 to 6 seconds. Everything else about his kit should be the same. JUNKRAT's base health is going to go from 375 to 425. For Adrenaline Rush passive, the self-healing from wounds is going to be reduced from 2.5x to 1x only. Wow. I guess she really doesn't need the lifesteal as much in their testing internally. We'll have to see. For Commanding Shout, the cooldown is going to be increased from 12 to 15 seconds. For MAUGA, his base armor is going to be reduced from 150 to 100, and his base health is going to be increased from 425 to 450, so a net loss of 25 HP. For Overrun, the cooldown is going to be increased from 5 to 7 seconds, and the stomp damage is going to be reduced from 75 to 60. For Cardiac Overdrive, the haha button, the allied lifesteal is going to be reduced from 50% to 30%, and the cooldown is going to be increased from 15 to 17 seconds. The cage fight max duration is also reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. For ORISA, the base armor is going to be reduced from 325 to 250, and the base health is going to go up from 150 to 250, so a total net gain of 25 HP, but a lot of the armor is gone. For Fortify, she's no longer immune to crit damage, so she can be headshot. Wait, that's a huge nerf. Augmented Fusion Driver, her weapon, now has damage fall off starting at 25 meters, so she can't snipe across the map, and the Energy Javelin cooldown is going to be increased from 6 to 8 seconds. For RAMATTRA, his base health is going to be increased from 250 to 375. While he's in Nemesis form, the bonus armor he gains is going to be reduced from 300 to 200. His Void Barrier cooldown is going to be increased from 13 to 16 seconds. REINHARDT, base health increased from 250 to 325, but base armor reduced from 300 to 225. So total HP is the same, but they're making him a lot weaker with a lot less armor. Rein also now has the Steadfast passive again, making him the only tank with knockback reduction of 30%. Rein's charge cooldown is going to be increased from 7 to 10 seconds, and the steering control is going to be reduced by 50%. His barrier health, though, is going to be increased from 1500 to 2000 again. His fire strike charges is going to be reduced from 2 to 1, and the earth shatter distance is reduced from 25 to 20 meters. ROADHOG is getting his base health increased from 600 to 650. His chain hook cooldown is going to be increased from 6 to 8 seconds. Pigpen, obviously going to be removed because that was introduced in Overwatch 2. Take a breather, the default binding is going to be moved back from secondary fire to ability 2, or the E on keyboard. The maximum heal is reduced from 400 to 325. The damage reduction, though, is going to be increased from 40 to 50%, and is now on a flat cooldown of 8 seconds and is no longer resource based. For For his weapon, the scrap gun, the secondary fire air burst projectile is added again. The primary fire 4 large center projectile shrapnels are now removed. The pellets per shot increased from 16 to 25. Damage per pellet increased from 6.25 to 6.5, and the crit damage multiplier increased from 1.5 to 2 times. Old Roadhog Overwatch 1 mains will find this very familiar. And for his ultimate, Whole Hog, the duration is going to be reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. For Sigma, the base shield health is reduced from 275 to 250. The experimental barrier recharge rates increase from 85 to 100 health per second, and the accretion rock damage is going to be reduced from 120 to 100. Not that many Sigma changes. For Winston, base health increased from 225 to 350, but base armor reduced from 250 to 200. He is plus 75 net HP though. The bubble cooldown is increased from 12 to 13 seconds. The jump pack cooldown is increased from 5 to 6 seconds. For his Tesla cannon weapon, it no longer ignores armor. But it looks like he keeps his secondary fire that was added in Overwatch 2. The secondary fire charge time is increased from 0.85 to 1.1 second. The secondary fire ammo cost is increased from 12 to 25. For Primal Rage, his maximum health gain is reduced from 700 to 500. For Wrecking Ball, he no longer has base shield health, the blue part. The base white health is going to be increased from 300 to 500. The base armor is reduced from 175 to 150. Now for adaptive shields, he can no longer disperse it to allies. Its radius overall is going to be reduced from 13 to 8 meters, and the overhealth gain per target is reduced from 100 to 75. The pile driver cooldown is also increased from 8 to 10 seconds. For Zarya, her base health is going to be increased from 175 to 225. For Particle Barrier, that's the self bubble, it obviously no longer shares the cooldown with the team projected bubble. Its health per bubble is reduced from 225 to 200, duration reduced from 2.25 seconds to 2 seconds, and cooldown is reduced from 11 to 10 seconds. For the projected barrier, the ally one, same thing, health reduced from 225 to 200, duration reduced from 2.25 seconds to 2 seconds, and the cooldown is reduced from 9 to 8 seconds. Remember, these two bubbles have separate cooldowns and they're different. Okay, for the damage heroes, it looks like they're not changing any of the Season 9 HP changes, so they're all going to stay the same. So let's start with Bob. His health is going to be increased from 1,000 to 1,200. Nothing to change for the rest of Ashe's kit. Bastion, no changes. For Cassidy, his Peacekeeper Fan the Hammer secondary fire damage is actually increasing from 45 to 50. For Echo's Duplicate, it no longer has a max health for a copy target. So that means if you duplicate a tank, they're going to be at full health now. For the Focusing Beam, the damage multiplier for low health targets or the targets under 50% HP is going to be increased from 3.5 to 4x, which is about 200 DPS, because the base is 50 DPS, 4x is 200. Quick maths. For Genji, no changes. For Hanzo, the Storm Bow, time to fully charge each shot is reduced from 0.8 to 0.72 seconds. That's a nice buff. For Junkrat, no changes. For Mei's Ice Wall, the health is increased from 250 to 300 per pillar. For PHARAH, no changes. Wow, modern PHARAH in here. Let's go. Reaper, no changes. For Sojourn, no changes. For Soldier 76, the damage is increased from 19 to 20 for his heavy pulse rifle. For Sombra, no changes. For Symmetra, no changes. For TORBJORN, his deployed turret damage is increased from 13 to 15. For Tracer, the pulse pistol fall off range is increased from 10 to 12 meters. For Venture, no changes. And for Widowmaker, the base health is increased from 200 to 225. For Ana, the biotic rifle max ammo is reduced from 15 to 12. For her sleep dart, it no longer has a reduced duration versus tank heroes. The cooldown is also reduced from 14 to 12 seconds. And then for her bio nade, the cooldown is reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. For Baptiste, the regen burst no longer heals twice as much for allies under 50% max health. The instant heal is going to be increased from 40 to 50, and the healing over time is increased from 40 to 100 over 5 seconds. For the immortality field, the health of the lamp is going to be increased from 125 to 150. For Brig, no changes. For ILLARI, the solo rifle max damage is going to be increased from 70 to 75. The minimum damage is increased from 20 to 25. The healing pylon cooldown is reduced from 14 to 12 seconds. For Juno, the hyper ring max duration is going to be reduced from 6 to 4.5 seconds. The orbital ray max duration is reduced from 10 to 8 seconds. And the pulsar torpedoes cooldown is going to be increased from 10 to 12 seconds. For Kiriko, the healing Ofuda recovery time is reduced from 0.9 to 0.8 seconds. That's a buff. It means there's less time between each paper. Healing per projectile is also increased from 13 to 14. For Lifeweaver, the healing Blossom healing, the max heal is going to be increased from 80 to 90. For his pedal platform, the cooldown is increased from 12 to 15 seconds. The Tree of Life max duration is reduced from 15 to 12 seconds, and the max health is increased from 1200 to 1400. Okay, Lucio, no changes. Mercy, no changes. Moira, no changes. And the last support is ZENYATTA. The Destruction Orb ammo is going to be reduced from 25 to 20. His Harmony Orb, time to wear off when not in line of sight, is reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. The Orb of Discord no longer has a cooldown per target, so you can keep rediscording the same person. And the time to fall off the target when you're out of line of sight is increased from 1.5 to 3 seconds. He does get to keep a snap kick passive in this game though. Knockback is going to be reduced by 20% and it no longer multiplies the quick melee damage, so it's only a CC melee. Okay, based off these patch notes, I have a couple of thoughts. First, the balance is going to be completely whack for the first couple of days. Blizzard will have to hotfix this mode with different patch changes once they gather the data from millions of people playing, because they have nowhere to start. This is kind of like Overwatch 1 2016 May, where like nobody knew that Devo was really bad at the time because people were still figuring it out. Day one of 6v6 modern role queue, they definitely used some old Overwatch 1 numbers for some of the stuff like Ryan Shield and all that stuff. But then all these numbers don't really align with like some of the other changes that I saw with ILLARI, and some of these other heroes got no changes, and they all have different HP pools after the Season 9 Overwatch 2 changes. So like balance is going to be completely whack, and it's important to be honest these first couple of days. Like if the patch is bad, you have to let them know which hero is problematic. Like RAMATTRA or SOJOURN in this mode, terrible. Be honest. Okay, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.